What's up, guys? We are back for another Mythic Legions figure review from 4 Horsemen Toy Design today. We are going to take a look at a figure that definitely plays to the Horsemen's strengths, kind of pulls in a little bit of Motu nostalgia, and kind of gives their interpretation of Prince Adam, He-Man himself, in Mythic Legions toy form with Adamonn. So this guy is part of the Coliseum subline. You can see him there on the front of that card, and the packaging, just like with Rhaegar on the last review, they're all the same in terms of standard figures. So we've got him on the front in that nice card, collector-friendly card, so you can pull it out, put him back in. The side has a bit of a bio for Adamonn here, and then the back has that same wartime style card art. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. And here's Adamonn out of the package. And guys, if you're interested in snagging some Mythic Legions figures for yourself after this review, check out BigBadToyStore.com. I'll put a link down below in the description so you can check out everything they have in stock and for pre-order for this particular line. Now, as far as this figure itself goes, this is one of 2 figures in the Coliseum subline that kind of play on 4 Horsemen's involvement, so to speak, with Masters of the Universe. So this guy's name is Adamonn. That might sound slightly familiar as Adam. He is a warrior with blonde hair. He's got a large sword and a buckler style shield. And if you're thinking what I'm thinking, yeah, this is their take on He-Man. So Prince Adam, He-Man, that's what this is all about. The other figure in the line that plays off that is Keltus, the blue skeleton. He is obviously Skeletor. And I think it's just an awesome thing that they've done with that little thing, that they can just bring their own take on that type of character, making it 100% a Mythic Legions character, but giving a little slight nod to the fans of Motu that, hey, we've been making Motu classics for years. This is what Prince Adam, He-Man, would look like in the world of Mythos. So we're going to do all the normal stuff here. We're going to take a look at Articulation, Paint, and Sculpt. So let's take a look at Articulation first. Now, if you've seen my previous Mythic Legions review of Rhaegar, you will know that this is pretty much the exact same thing in terms of articulation. Obviously, Sculpt is going to play a little bit of a difference here because they're not carbon copies of each other, but for the most part, the joint structure is exactly the same. So the head is on a ball, but the hair is really going to get in the way on this figure in particular. He's got hair that goes down past the traps, and he does have that long flowing beard with the braids, which it's a lot of plastic, so it's going to hit. So all the movement is there, and when you put the extra head on in place of this one, you'll see a lot more improved movement. Arms can go out, you can rotate. He has elbow swivel, elbow hinge, single hinge, wrist rotation, forearm rotation, and wrist hinge. The waist appears to be a double ball peg. So back, forward, and then full rotation. Legs can go all the way out. The leg pads here are slightly going to get in the way. They are pliable, but they're not 100% going to hinge right there. So you can get pretty close to splits. Forward really far. Back pretty good as well. Swivel at the thigh. We do have a single hinge at the knee. We have a knee rotation. And then we have balls at the feet. So we've got hinge, we've got rocker, and then we've got actual rotation at the ankle. So it's almost identical to Rhaegar in terms of what he can do. The only real difference is that with the base head here, you're going to just see some impeded movement simply because of the sculpt, and I can't really fault it for that. It's either it's going to look good or it's going to look different, and it's going to have better articulation, or you plop the other head on and you get improved movement. You take your pick, but I'm okay with how this turned out. As far as the overall look and feel, paint, sculpt, that whole deal for this particular figure, I am very, very happy. This goes in line with the Rhaegar figure. I was pretty over the moon about that figure, and this figure is honestly no exception. It is just awesome. 4 Horsemen is really known for packing as much detail as they possibly can within their price point, and I think this is a figure that really shows it. There is shared parts here with Rhaegar. In particular, we've got shared arms, shared legs, the thighs, and then shared shins. The armor pieces on this figure are the same as on Rhaegar, but he has different feet here. So you can get a glimpse of the fact that they do share parts, but these figures couldn't really be too much different. They have very distinct looks from each other, yet they do share quite a few parts. This is the only figure I have that is a bare-chested figure, so I'm sure there are others that share it, but this is a great example of the detail they put into their musculature. Just a ton of detail. You know, Adamonn is not a guy you would want to mess with. He is just beyond jacked. They've even got these sculpted veins running through the biceps, into the shoulders, and onto the pecs. He's obviously been hitting the gym rather hard, and I think they've done a great job with the overall tone and look and shape of this body. The detail on these gauntlets is pretty stellar. A lot of paint work, a lot of small detail with these little rivets, which are also painted. And then, of course, we do have this type of armor codpiece that he has down here, which I think is sculpted very nicely. A lot of kind of patinaed look to it to make it look old and worn. And then he does have these similar style what do we got? Shin guards here to Rhaegor, which his are far more rusted and they look old in comparison to Rhaegor's, which were blue and kind of navy black. The big thing for me, though, in general, though, is just this head. I mean, he looks fantastic is the best way to say it. I mean, he just looks great. There is a lot of sculpted detail in that hair, tons and tons of line work with a lot of wash in there to bring out that sculpt. He's got a nice scar running down his face, so he looks seasoned, he looks battle-hardened, and the face paint, face sculpt is just on point. He looks like an old, grizzled warrior, and I'm very, very happy with how he turned out. This figure does have the same issue that my Rhaegor figure does, in that there is paint chipping all over the joints in the knees and the arms. Again, I attribute that to the fact that there is a ton of paint and shading on the body and on the arms and legs itself. So while it might be kind of off-putting at first when you see paint flaking off, because I can actually see it on my table right now, it's just on those joints, and those joints are honestly almost identical in color to what they're doing. It's mostly just the shading that they're trying to do is getting in those joints, and honestly, I don't really have a problem with it. It's just something to point out because everybody's going to experience that, and some people might not understand what is occurring, although I figure people will get it after a minute or two. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Paint and sculpt are 100% on point. I really dig the He-Man kind of aesthetic they went for here, the warrior with the blonde hair. He's of course got the sword and the shield, and we'll talk about that stuff here shortly. But yeah, this is a fantastic sculpt. It's a very good counterpoint to the Rhaegor figure, where that guy was in the tunic with a huge helmet on, with a lot of kind of garish detail, a lot of flamboyant armor pieces. But this guy is more barbarian, more bare bones, so to speak, and I think that really comes through with the overall sculpt and design. Alright, now as far as accessories go, this guy has a pretty decent handful. We've got swords, we've got a humongous axe to talk about, we've got a shield, and we've got a swappable head. So I'm going to go ahead and swap the head, just so we can have that on the entire time. So this guy just pops right off. It's just a ball peg, so pulls right off. It's very, very simple to swap these guys out. So, you know, I've got a headless guy right now, and you pop this one on. And there we go. So this is his other, you know, knight helmet style head. It's got a gold eagle here up on the top, and I really dig this head. I'm not sure that I'm going to use it as my permanent display for this figure, just because I do like this head a lot, but it's really nicely done. Tons of patina detail. It looks old and worn. The gold eagle, you can actually pop this guy off. It's kind of difficult to get it in and out, so I'm not going to take it out just for fear of having to deal with it again. But once it's in there, it's going to stay. We got all these rivets in there, tons and tons of wash. There's even a wash inside the feathers on the eagle. So yeah, I think it's just a great idea. You know, it's very, very much evoking a gladiatorial type look and feel. But again, probably not the one I'm going to always use. He does, of course, being the He-Man style that they're going for, he has a sword. It's just a silver blade with a sort of gunmetal style hilt, and you can pop that in his hand and he will hold that just fine. We have got a shield, very reminiscent of the standard He-Man shield, with the wooden worn sections on the buckler there. Pop that onto his wrist and he's ready for battle. But if you're wanting something a little bigger, a little more high impact, there is an extra weapon for this guy, and I don't know, I think this might be the one I always use. We've got this humongous axe here. So you can see it's almost as tall as the figure itself. This comes out of the box as a single-bladed weapon with a point on the back. However, you can pop that guy off and put another side on it, and you now have a double-sided axe, which I think this is just the coolest weapon. My only real gripe about this is that he can't really hold it two-handed very well, and this is clearly a two-hander type weapon, but it's just so cool. You know, you can get him holding just this, or maybe this and the sword, and he will look like, you know, the menacing gladiator that you want your figure to be, and I think this just works 100% with this actual figure. I think this axe has been used before. I know some of the birds have something pretty similar, so I think this isn't unique to this character, and that's pretty common for Legions, but it fits so well with the overall look and design of this figure, especially, at least in my opinion, when you've got this knight's helmet on him. And because we have to do it, here is just a comparison shot between Adamonn and He-Man himself. So this is the Motu Classics He-Man with the vintage style head on the body. You can tell there's a humongous difference, but thematically it's there. You know, you've got the furry loincloth, you've got the sword, the shield, you've got the blonde hair. This is still very much its own figure, just with slight nods to the Motu world. I think it's a really cool idea that they decided to run with here, and of course you can use this for scale comparisons because Mythic Legions are supposed to fit right in with your slightly larger scale 6-inch-ish type action figure, so you can see that this guy, these guys in particular, will fit in just fine with your Motu Classics and any slightly larger 6-inch type figures. So at the end of the day, this is just the same story that you heard with Rhaegar, it's just a different figure. It's a fantastic line of toys. I really regret not buying more of these. I only got 3 when they put the new small wave up. I do have the huge Kickstarter coming eventually, but this is so much fun to play around with these toys that I really wish that I had gotten multiples of each figure so I could have different configurations of them. That you have so many options with these that you can make unique figures out of the same figure, and that really draws me in. Normally that doesn't do it for me, but for some reason I'm really having fun playing around with the combinations that you have access to here. So I would suggest get a hold of these if you can. I know they sold out in minutes when they went up on Four Horsemen store, but I'm sure you can get them somehow, and they might be on BigBadToyStore for a while. Always the aftermarket, but Four Horsemen often put this stuff back up again just at a later date. So always keep an eye out for this stuff. I would really urge you to look into this if the sword and sorcery kind of stuff is your thing. This is literally the line for that type of stuff. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legions Adamonn figure. Let me know what you think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time.